You've heard us talk about DraftKings, the leader in daily fantasy sports, and how payday can come every day by entering their contest with huge cash prizes up for grabs. This week is jam-packed with action ranging from basketball to golf, and DraftKings has plenty of ways for you to have a front row seat to all of the action.
Making a lineup on DraftKings adds excitement to every night, and it's simple to do. Draft your lineup and feel the sweat like never before. Every moment means more with the DraftKings lineup on the line. It's simple. Every player has a salary associated with drafting them. Assemble a lineup of players while staying under the salary cap, and then sit back and watch your points pile up. DraftKings has paid out over $7 billion to users across all sports, including hockey. DraftKings is the leader in daily fantasy sports, so there is no better place to get in on all the action.
And now that you know how to play, download the DraftKings app and sign up using code THPN. New users will get a free entry with their first deposit. That's code THPN to get a free entry with your first deposit only at DraftKings. Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
I was walking through the halls of a Minnesota rink when along came a Wild fan who started talking smack to me. He said, I bet you never liked the Blues until they won a cup. And so I calmly turned to him and said, hey man, listen up. I admit it's pretty great to win Lord Stanley's prize, but listen, I've been waiting for this moment my whole life. Yes, sir, I'm a Blues fan. Yes, sir, I'm a Blues fan. Heartbreak's all I knew, man. That team from old St. Lou, man. Got a cup in here, 52, man. Give me a Let's Go Blues. I know Brett Hull, Courtnall, Campbell, Cujo, Jenny Oates, Brown, Chase, Fuhr, Zombo, Cecil, Butcher, Shanny, Tilly, Tuttle, Sutter, Twister, Turcotte, Kimball, Turgeon, Barron, Basson, Pronger, Pearson, Bergevin, Bozon, Al McInnes, Crab, Chuck, Howard, Chuck, Petrovicky, Pellerin, Dimitra, Yate, Corson, Conrad, Gretzky. Yes, sir, I'm a Blues fan. Yes, sir, I'm a Blues fan. Heartbreak's all I knew, man. That team from old St. Lou, man. Got a cup near 52, man. Give me a Let's Go Blues.
And now, the starting lineup for your Bluenotes podcast. Tom Franklin and the man called Wags.
Thanks as always, Tom Calhoun, and hello and welcome to Bluenotes, located on the best city on the Mississippi, the best in the Midwest. We've got that Stanley Cup power, too sweet to be sour, and if you're still clueless, we are talking about St. Louis. This is your home for St. Louis Blues coverage on the Hockey Podcast Network. I am your host for today. Tom Franklin. Wags is out on assignment. And just to let you know, starting on Sundays going forward, we will have Mason, a.k.a. Blues Fan Reacts, joining us for the foreseeable future, assuming he doesn't say anything that gets us kicked off of Facebook and YouTube, of course. That's he's a screamer, that one. And he will be back on Sunday. We'll be streaming at 9 o'clock Sunday night. It'll be at least me and him. Hopefully Wags will be along for the ride as well. I'm feeling good today, guys. Right now it is 19 degrees in St. Louis, and I've never been so glad to see 19 degrees in my life after the last couple of days that we have had. Hopefully it starts warming up here pretty soon in St. Louis. It feels like we're under a deep freeze here for the past week or so. And I'm looking forward to some new competitions, some new blood in the water, if you will, from the San Jose Sharks starting tonight, or I guess Thursday night, if you are watching the video on demand or the listening to the podcasts, which, of course, you can find wherever you get your podcasts from. Today is, as I mentioned, is a special episode. We are going to be joined by assistant brewer of Center Ice Brewery, Jack Ferrara. He's a big Blues fan, and of course, he's also a big beer fan as well. And I've got my beer ready. Hopefully, you are drinking responsibly wherever you come from. Got to get the label on there, folks. That's advertising quality there. First of all, I want to give a quick shout out to Blues Fan Reacts. He is watching as we speak. Hello there. And of course, we didn't mention this on the stream Sunday, by the way, but just to show you how international our show is. Mason lives in Salt Lake City, Utah. So we have a Hawaiian hockey correspondent. We have a music master from Minnesota. We've had Gerard the Dutch blues fan on. And now we have a third host on Sunday and Monday from Salt Lake City, Utah. We are everywhere, folks. We are everywhere. So thanks for watching, Mason, and hopefully you enjoy this chat with Jack Ferrara, who is waiting very patiently. And without further ado, let's get him on the show.
It's the Bluenotes Face-Off of the Week.
And that beautiful NHL 94 music means it is time for our Bluenotes Face-Off of the Week. And we are joined by the assistant brewer at Center Ice Brewery, the one, the only, Jack Ferrara. Jack, how's it going today, bud?
Good, man. How are you?
Hey, doing good. As I mentioned, you know, we're slowly starting to warm up a little bit here. And, you know, I lived in the upper Midwest for a lot of my radio career. I worked for KMOX, and I, you know, am used to these teens, like when I lived in the Dakotas and when I lived in Michigan and Wisconsin, but I don't live there for a reason. You know, I live in St. Louis, so I can hopefully avoid those temperatures. But in St. Louis, you know, wait 5 minutes, the weather will change, right?
Yeah, we were waiting for a little longer than 5 minutes last night, eh? That was rough.
Just a little bit, yeah. This has been it's been rough between the, you know, cold temperatures and the you know, the fact that we're in a Groundhog Day movie nightmare with the Arizona Coyotes for a while there. It was kind of rough being a Blues fan, and unfortunately we lost the playoff series in mid-season to the Coyotes 4-3. And are you as glad as I am that we're finally going to have some new competition?
Yes. So I'm glad we're jumping into Arizona now, because I've noticed over the past few seasons that the Blues just struggle when they play Arizona.
Yes.
It's just one of those teams they're snake bitten against. And Arizona is a good team, but watching them in the bubble last year, especially, they just didn't seem to have the right coherency together. So something seemed off in their play.
Yeah.
So it's weird. And I also don't understand how over the cap they are with the players they have.
I don't know. Did you see the article from The Athletic this week about how much of a mess the Arizona front office is?
I didn't see the article, but I know how much of a mess it is.
Yeah. I mean, Bill Armstrong, God rest his soul, he did some great stuff here for us, but he walked into an absolute landmine in Arizona. I mean, check that article out if you have The Athletic at some point. But yeah, I before this season, I did an article for Last Word on Hockey where I compared the records that the Blues have against their potential opponents in the West and the Central this year. This was before they went ahead and put the Blues in the West. And yeah, I noticed the Blues going into the season had an 8-3-1. Excuse me, the Coyotes had an 8-3-1 record against the Blues going into the season, and they outscored the Blues 38-23. And this was in the last 3 seasons prior to this one. So,
okay, so I was right.
You are. You are absolutely. Arizona is that weird thorn in our side. You know, a team that is average, mediocre, and yet for some reason they stuff us in a locker every time we face them. It is just it is the weirdest thing, and I guess I have some understanding as to why. I mean, that top line that Arizona has with Garland and Schmaltz and Keller, I mean, they did some work against the Blues. And
dude, if Garland played the Blues in 82 games,
oh my God,
he'd come close to Gretzky's record. That guy is unbelievable. That guy is Sidney Crosby when he plays the Blues. I don't get it.
And he was, you know, I'm traumatized, you know, whenever we play him again, just because I'll have memories of this series. But he does everything for them. He's a small guy. But he plays a two-way game. He's very quick. He screens the goalie and is very effective even as a small guy. He really, Jack, kind of reminded me. I was getting Doug Gilmour flashbacks from him. You know, you remember Doug Gilmour, a small, undersized forward, defensive-minded, and was just an absolute thorn on the other team's side. I really got some Gilmore flashbacks from him.
Yeah. There are a lot of continuing the string of undersized forwards that just like run amok. In the Blues Cup run, when our series against Dallas, Rope Hintz had numerous like kind of breakaways and just breakaways. And like every time the puck was on that guy's stick, I got scared. Like that kid is dangerous.
Yeah. And in fact, the Stars in general, whenever the Blues face the Stars, I still like have Metallica's One playing in my head, and I get flashbacks to the 2019 playoff series. The Game 7 double overtime. The Stars always play the Blues tough. We have a winning record against the Stars in the last few years, but it feels like every game against the Stars is a grind. And when they first announced the divisions and they announced that Dallas was staying in the Central and Minnesota and St. Louis was moving out west, I was confused at first, but then I was relieved because it meant we don't have to play the Stars, and they're a team I don't miss this season.
Yeah. So with us moving out of the Central, really before they had to realign, real quick, last thing on Arizona. Yeah. Now Central Division rival.
Yes.
After this year, once Seattle comes, which is going to be real fun.
I know, right? Get your beers ready.
Yeah. So anyway, with the new Central Division, that is a murderer's row.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, when was the last time the two teams that made it to the Stanley Cup final the year before were in the same division?
This has to be the first.
It's got to be like original six. It's got to be original six. It's definitely the first time in like the modern era.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Because I know during the expansion era, 3 seasons after the Blues got into the league, Chicago moved out west, and then Vancouver and I think Buffalo came into the league, and they stayed out east. But Chicago wasn't in the Stanley Cup Finals, so yeah, this has to be historical, just an absolute historical moment. By the way, Mason wondering, what is it with St. Louis natives, and they just like to absolutely wreck us? Not just Clayton Keller had a good series against the Blues. But it seems like whenever St. Louisans come back home and they take on the team they grew up with, they love just kicking the snot out of the Blues, don't they?
Yeah. So now I'm thinking of St. Louis kids. There's Maroon, like in the league today. It's Maroon, Keller.
Yep.
So here's the thing, though. Like, they technically count, I guess, because Matthew was born in Arizona. I'm not sure where Brady was born.
Brady was here, I think.
Yeah. So I know Matthew definitely went to high school here and like was raised here. So they count. Boston's kid, who is Trent Frederick.
Yeah, Trent Frederick. Yep, he's a St. Louisan.
He's kind of like in and out of that lineup, though, eh?
Yeah, he's
not a mainstay yet.
He hasn't established himself yet. He's kind of like a Mackenzie McEachern type for them, I guess. Kind of in and out.
Yeah.
And then
it'll be interesting to see how far he goes, though.
And then, of course, there's Ben Bishop, who went to Chaminade here in St. Louis, although he kind of moved around a little bit when he was, in his younger days. So I don't know if you can truly call Bishop a St. Louisan, because I know he was born in Denver. But Bishop's a guy that when the Blues face him, he's like a brick wall.
Yeah.
Usually. Like,
well, he's just a brick wall in general. And
when he's healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny you talk about him moving around a lot when he was young. He's been bounced around the league quite a bit too for as good a goalie as he is.
He really has. He's had a weird career. I mean, he came up through the Blues system, couldn't crack the lineup because we still had Halak and Brian Elliott, and gets shipped off to Ottawa for peanuts. And in typical Ottawa fashion, they don't take advantage of the bounty that they're given, and they trade him to Tampa for basically nothing. And he
then
takes
he almost
over.
wins a cup there.
Exactly. He becomes a star in Tampa, and then all of a sudden Vasilevsky comes up, and all of a sudden he's yesterday's news.
Yeah,
He gets
which
punted.
is ridiculous.
It really is.
Two goalies that good. Keep
them.
one. Montreal
Exactly.
has Jake Allen and Carey Price. I'm a Montreal fan too, so like I'm the guy with like two or more teams. It's Blues, like obviously at the top. Montreal is a second. I am kind of a Leafs fan. That team just annoys me.
Yeah, as they do everyone.
But I will say, so my family has a place in Canada on Lake Huron, and so I've been going there every summer of my life. So that also helped me become a Leafs fan. So after we won the cup, I go back up there that summer, and I tell all my buddies, I'm like, yeah, this is what happens when you beat Boston in a game 7 in Boston. You get this.
Yes.
They just go, shut up.
Yeah, I've noticed that Canadians everywhere, whether it's Toronto, Vancouver, or other cities, people that I've talked to in Canada, no one in Canada likes Boston at all. Like the founders of our hockey podcast network are from Victoria, British Columbia. They're on Vancouver Island. And before they got the network started, they had me on their Vancouver Canucks podcast a couple of times during the Blues playoff run. And they wanted to have me on because they were glad they were kind of happy the Blues finally made it to the Cup finals and had a real chance of winning the Cup. I mean, because they've also not had a Cup in ever. But also they just talking to them, like, Canadians are nice people. Canadians are super nice, very conversational people. I've not met a bad Canadian yet. But to talk about Boston with these guys, you know, they may as well have run over their dog. You know, it was with their monster truck. It was just they can't stand them. I mean, the tone shifts immediately when you bring, like, say the word Brad Marchand around them, and the tone just shifts.
No, hang on. It's Marchand.
Marchand, that's right.
Brad Marchand.
Marchand, yeah, he's a bullet shot up before every game.
So what's really funny is my family has a place in Canada, and on my mom's side, a lot of her siblings live in Massachusetts.
Really?
So they're not. A lot of them aren't huge sports fans in general. They'll cheer on the Patriots when they would be in the Super Bowl, and they'd come around then because they're those fans.
Sure,
just because there's not really fans. My Uncle John is a sports fan. He loves the Bruins. Like, I remember being with him during 2011 during the Bruins Cup run against Vancouver, and I watched that last game of that series and celebrated with him when they raised the cup. So that was fun.
Yeah, you haven't had any family reunions, by the way, with your Massachusetts family since the Cup win, have you?
Oh yeah, we went up there for Christmas that year.
Oh really? So how awkward was that?
I only brought Blues t-shirts.
Yes.
So here's the thing. I have a denim jacket that I got patches on, and the back is painted. I have the Stanley Cup Champions patch on this shoulder.
Awesome.
And you remember hang on one second.
Yeah.
Do you remember there was a game where they gave out these little replica cups?
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
So I went to that game solely, like, they released the schedule for all of the Blues released the schedule for all of the, like, giveaway things. And I was like, I'm buying tickets to this game right now because I want those.
Absolutely.
That game comes. I had that thing fit perfectly in the pocket of that denim jacket.
Nice.
So we go to watch, we would go to watch every new Star Wars movie with that side of my family when it comes out, because it would come out around Christmas. So it'd still be in theaters. So we'd go to watch that. And I'm standing in this Massachusetts theater wearing a Blues hoodie, a Stanley Cup champion shirt under that. My Stanley Cup champion patch is prominent to everyone in the theater. The cup in my pocket is prominent. And I got guys all over the floor watching me.
I love it.
So when the Blues won the cup, I had the playoff beard, as you know. And so, because what else are you going to do?
Exactly.
It's got long enough, and it's long enough now, to where my mustache just started curling up on its own. So I said, all right, screw it. If we win, I'll rock a handlebar mustache. And then they won. So up until March of 2020, when we needed to wear masks everywhere, I can't really keep it waxed with a mask on, So I decided, all right, beard's coming back. But yeah, from the cup win until then, I had a mustache. So I'm a jackass standing in this theater, curly mustache, Stanley Cup champion Blues gear, after the Blues just beat their team.
Oh my God.
That was a fun trip.
to be a fly in the wall in that theater that night, man, I would give anything for
Dude,
that.
I got so many looks in line for the bathroom.
No one tried anything with you, did they?
No, because Boston is a really good sports city. It's just everyone hates their teams.
Yes.
So like the fans will rib you and chirp you, but they do it with a smile on their face because it's etiquette. Because it's just what they're just busting balls, and I love I love it. It's it's one of the best sports cities. It's just everyone hates their teams.
Yeah, I've never seen a city that has more just self-loathing and then they turn it into kind of like a recurring gag than Boston does. I mean, it is a different fan base up there, to say the least.
Oh yeah,
yeah. No wonder they drink a lot of beer up there. Speaking of beer, let's go ahead and start talking about that first of all here. So, of course,
I mean, we're one to talk on. No wonder they drink so much beer. The Blues just won their first cup 53 years, 2 years after
52, year 52. So there you go. Yeah, St. Louis is a brewery town. I mean, and I strongly believe the Blues' woes over the years are a big reason for that. I mean, turns out, when your hockey team keeps getting first and second round exits,
the Blues kept Anheuser-Busch in.
That's right.
They knew
there is a Center Ice Brewery because of the Blues. Well, there probably is, but it may not be directly for that reason. But yeah, let's go and talk about that. First of all, I love your backdrop, by the way. I mean, you were on our sister podcast, the Soda Pod, last week, and I saw that. It's like, oh man, this is like the best backdrop out of anyone that we've had so far. And we had some good backdrops. We have a Hawaiian hockey correspondent that chips in on our Sunday episodes, and he'll go on location on top of a hill in Hawaii, and it's just beautiful. He takes us to Hawaii every week, and we love him for that. But that behind you is all class. And we should point out, by the way, if you're not familiar with Center Ice Brewery, first of all, it's located right off of Olive near Compton. And second of all, if you ever go inside Center Ice Brewery, there's a story behind all the wood inside the bar area, right?
Yep. Yeah. So the bar top and the tables, and I might have said this wood is. I immediately forgot, like right after I did that pod, because I think I said this wood behind me is from the arena too. I think it is. I'm like 70% sure.
Okay.
Because I instantly forgot for sure. I just never checked. So whatever. But a lot of the wood here is from the old arena.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, and how our owner got a hold of it, I don't know. But it was on some guy's farm in rural Missouri. And I also forgot exactly where, but in rural Missouri somewhere. He just had all this wood from the old arena laying around.
As one does,
Right. Right. Because he's not going to burn it because, like, it's worth something to the right people. So now we got a kick-ass bar top.
By the way, Dylan Kaiser, who I believe produced your Soda Pod show last week, is asking to give us the tour.
Oh. Trying to think. I didn't give them a tour, really. And
okay. Gotcha.
I showed them around a little bit. What did I do last time? We'll walk about.
All right.
So this is behind the bar. Looks looks like crap because we're not opening it. So that is what I showed them last time.
And for audio listeners, by the way, he is moving his camera around the tap room and showing us the bar area right now.
Forgot about the audio listeners. Sorry, guys.
That's all right. Yeah, that's all right.
We have a lot of artwork done by the same guy. None of the lights are on in the tap room, only above the bar, so it's kind of dark and you can't really see, which is another reason why I can't really do a good tour right now.
So are you allowing patrons inside the bar or no?
Yes. So city guidelines are, I think, like, I forgot exactly what the percentage is.
I think it's 50. I think it's 50 for the city. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have tables set up, distanced, and we have bar stools set 6 feet away from each other around the bar. So it's really, we have limited available seats for everybody. Okay. I'm not going to take the time to try and count now, but we have limited seating in here just for everyone's safety. So just like a lot of places, put your mask on when you come in. Well, you should already have it up, regardless.
Yeah.
Mask on when you're walking around. Once you sit down, you can bring in your own food. We got Pappy's next door, which is rated, Food Network rated #1 ribs in the country.
Great ribs.
And because of that, so the funny thing is, real quick on Pappy's, their ribs are rated #1, and we get all these tourists from all over the country to come in and try their barbecue. And they're like, oh, they're burnt ends, they're pulled pork, it's all right, but I don't know why it's 100. It's #1. Like, their barbecue isn't #1. Their ribs are.
Yes.
You gotta get the thing they're known for.
Exactly. Our another one of our podcasters in our network, Michael Farley, he was doing our Dallas Stars podcast last season. Now he's doing our Edmonton Oilers podcast, and he swung by St. Louis. He lives in Florida, but he swung by St. Louis for an Oilers Blues game last year before the pandemic hit. And he stopped by Center Ice Brewery, and he loved it. First of all, he thought the just the hockey lodge kind of a feel was amazing. But then he also commented on Pappy's, and I think he learned the hard way about the best ribs versus the rest of their barbecue, because I think he ended up getting like I think got like a beef brisket or something like that, which they're fun. Which I think Pappy's beef brisket's fine. But he was kind of like disappointed to learn that, he was supposed to get the ribs. Darn.
Right.
So, oh well. You live and learn.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
I was just gonna. So, are we bringing it back to beer now?
Yeah, let's go ahead and bring it back to Center Ice and bring it back to beer finally. So, first thing is, I mentioned earlier that I'm drinking an Old Arena lager, which features really nice bottle art, by the way. I'm gonna go ahead and zoom in on it right there. You can see, if you're watching, just the nice old school text, and then the Old Arena hand drawn. And you're drinking an Old Arena lager too, right?
I am. I'm drinking it on draft, and I'm wearing an Old Arena t-shirt. Actually, I didn't even mean to play it like that, but hey. Also, we just got in. We ordered gray long sleeve shirts with the same design as that bottle label, which are on sale now on the website.
Yeah. I was poking around your website there. In fact, I actually bought a Center Ice shirt that I think you're almost out of stock, is like the pink shirt. So I'm getting that shipped in the next couple of days. But I always wanted to ask you just about the bottle art and your can art. Of course, you do mostly cans, obviously. You've got some of the best can art for your beverages that I've ever seen out of a brewery. I mean, they're always a pleasure to see. Who handles that art for you guys?
You got to give me a second.
Oh, sure.
So Steve, our owner, he now has moved to more behind the scenes stuff, involving investors and all that. But he used to be the one that designs the can art using like clip art pieces. So let me go grab a can real quick.
Yeah,
so
sure.
The best example that I can give you is, where is it? So with the beauty can,
which is the beauty, by the way.
Yeah. Who do you think it's modeled after?
Exactly.
Not me.
The handlebars. Yeah, absolutely.
Not true. not true. But yeah, so this was, he got a beard and a mustache and then a hockey helmet and then just put an orange slice on it.
Nice.
And he had the beauty. So, as we got better, I'm going to bring another can over.
Sure.
Or I'm not. Where'd it go? All right. I'm going to have to go into the cooler for it, and I'm just not going to do that now. But our stick around, I showed the soda pod, guys, because it was right there on the shelf, and now it's not, which is annoying. But our stick around can was really nice. It had a glass on it featured prominently, and then all the different ingredients around it. So it was hibiscus leaves, ginger berries, lime zest, and honey.
Nice. That sounds really tasty. By the way, some other examples of can art here. I keep a couple of your cans around. I have like a shelf behind me that's right above where my finger is, where I just keep like various blues knickknacks and just things around. And among them is the Old Arena Lager can. I think this was from the first one I ever drank. And I love
the matte one. That's the old one.
Yeah, this was like right around. By the way, this was also right around when the pandemic started too. I remember you guys had just, I think, came
that's out the first time we got it in cans. Yeah.
Yeah, so I love the art. I mean, it's got the blues colors, the blues. It's even got the striping is very blue, retro blues, and of course the beloved Old Arena here in St. Louis, which of course we didn't seem to appreciate at the time, but as time goes on, we do now. And then I also have, this is one of my mementos from the Cup run, Play Gloria, the hazy pale ale that you guys came out with right after the Cup win. And this was a really good beer for one. And then, of course, the fact that Laura Branigan took over St. Louis that year, it's always kind of a reminder of just how, important Laura Branigan was to the Blues Cup win, because you can't break a 52-year Cup drought without an 80s singer leading the way, right?
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. So Toronto needs to find theirs, and then that still leads to Boston.
Yeah. I mean, is Duran still around? I mean, maybe they could help Boston out. I don't know. We could go into a whole vortex with obscure 80s acts that could probably help them out. I'm sure. I'm sure. So, now let's go ahead and talk about, your beginning, like the beginnings of Center Ice. So you've been around for a couple of years. Were you involved with the launch of Center Ice? And kind of tell us, if you were, tell us kind of how everything got going.
So I've known Steve Albers, the owner, since I was around like 13 or 14. I'm 22 now. So I had been involved with, he puts on a autism awareness fundraiser called the Frozen Cup, which is, it's always at an ODR. So it was at Shaw Park in, I think, Clayton. And then last year we got it moved to now I forget the name. The Centene Iceplex.
Yes.
At that outdoor rink, which was awesome.
Yeah.
Because I got a real scoreboard to mess with. instead of just that paper flip thing. And if it was, God help me, if it was windy, and that thing would just it was fun. But so I've known Steve for years, and after I got out of my 1 year at University of Central Missouri, I worked at O'Fallon Brewery on production.
Okay.
So bottling, canning, kegging, filling distribution orders, all that. So that's where I kind of like really fell in love with beer itself and wanted to learn how to brew it. And so I kind of told Steve, and he goes, all right, so maybe we'll hire you one day and poach you. So one day I happened to be in here on the same day that his assistant brewer put in his 4-week notice. I'm burping because of this beer. Excuse me.
Sure, absolutely.
So I happened to be in that day, and he's like, all right, hey, Matt just put in his 4 weeks. how soon can you get off of it at O'Fallon? Like, well, probably like 2 or so. And this is like a Monday, or it's like the middle of the week. So I
Yeah.
was like, all right. So next day I went in and told my bosses, hey, put in my 2-week notice. So I'm going to go learn to brew at Center Ice. So, and O'Fallon's also owned by family friends of mine because
Sure.
I've been surrounded by beer my whole life.
Of course.
So, started here in December, like mid-December. I think it was actually December 9th or so. I know it just happened, but I forgot instantly. I'm terrible at stuff like that. But I started in December of 2019, so which means I got my feet wet. I got my feet damp, and then the world ended.
Yeah, fun.
Thankfully, Jim, the new head brewer who started in January, about a month after I did, Jim and I could keep brewing, and we just canned everything. So we were still able to get in stores, still able to sell to all the stores basically, and we did heavy curbside advertising, and we did delivery for a hot minute.
I remember that it was inside the 270 inner belt, right?
Yep.
I remember that. I almost took advantage of that one time, but I decided, you know what? I work downtown. I live in Dogtown. You're on the way. Don't be lazy, Tom. Get your own beer, damn it. By the way, how scary were those first months of the pandemic for you guys? I mean, was there any real concern about long-term viability if this thing kept the pandemic kept going on?
Yeah, and we had plenty of meetings. We had weekly meetings actually, just about like, all right, this is our plan. This is what we're going to basically do, and then occasionally it would like kind of loop back to, all right, we're doing this. It's like 2 weeks later, all right, we're doing this. Halfway through that week, all right, we're going back to this. Because that's just how Steve is. But
Yeah.
we're still here.
Yes.
So it all worked out. We're all fine. We got to keep brewing really fun beers like Stick Around, and which started life as a gin and tonic inspired IPA. And then it got its stupid name from, why not Stick Around? So people kind of like stick around the tap room. So every time to this day, we still hear like, every time anyone says stick around, we go, stick around. It's stupid, funny things
inside
like
joke.
That. Yeah, it's stupid, funny things like that that just like kind of keep morale high and like,
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah,
and bubble hockey helped.
Yes. We had an image of you playing bubble hockey when we brought you on here for the video podcast. By the way, aren't you glad that we are now 11 months into this pandemic, and aren't you glad that it's been long enough to where we can actually look back and laugh at those times? I mean, because it was. I sometimes reflect on how I felt in March, and it just kind of felt like the world was ending because everything shut down, just like, one after another and after another. And when you work in news, you have to be aware of every single thing that's shutting down, and it just got to be like really a bummer. And I'm just glad that we can look back on it, and thankfully, Center Ice has weathered the storm and can look back and be grateful that I guess you're still around.
Yeah. So what's really cool is, cool.
Yeah.
What's kind of nice is there weren't a whole lot of craft breweries that had to close down for very long, at least.
Yeah, I noticed that. Yeah.
So that's just awesome for the industry here.
Yeah.
But like the city kind of, I'll say, because it makes me feel better, city rallied around all the craft breweries here.
Yeah.
And it's just awesome to see that. And it's awesome to know that like the city's here for us when we need them to be. And it's great to see that just like no one really, like, I know a few of them had to close for the 2-week quarantine and then clean everything. So, but like it wasn't a whole lot and it didn't happen often and no one had to close for good. So it was lucky. It
Yeah.
was awesome and lucky.
And unfortunately, so many local restaurants and bars have, not been able to withstand the downturn in business. But, I remember right when this whole thing started, there was such a push. I mean, you always hear a push in the community, buy local, patronize your local restaurants, keep your money, local. But like there was a big rally in like March and April and May, to, order curbside or get it Ubered or DoorDash to you. And I remember actually, I live right next door to Pat Connolly Tavern, off of Oakland here in St. Louis and Dogtown. And I remember buying a bunch of their alcohol. They were like wholesaling, like they were trying to liquidate, as much as they could. So they like sold all of their alcohol, in the first month or so just to stay afloat. And I remember I bought a bunch of, whiskey and a lot of they had a lot of Stan Musial beer from Urban Chestnut. And I bought a lot. I bought probably at least $150 worth of booze from them. And it wasn't because I'm a heavy drinker, because I'm not. It almost felt like duty, because these are your neighbors, that are trying to stay afloat, and it felt like I was doing my part to help out with that.
Yeah.
So, Old Arena Lager, by the way, I keep bringing it up because it's one of my fond memories of one of the ways that I things I can look back at, smile at, because, right when the pandemic started, I bought a bunch of these. In fact, I just cleared out of my cans that I had bought from you guys, I think like a month or two ago. I kind of paced myself a little bit. And then you brought out the bottles, which I thank you for that, by the way, because I was able to restock on that. But
yeah, well timed. We got you.
Yes, I appreciate that. And I got you. So you're known for, your pale ales. You have kind of a revolving pale ale beer series that you have, and then you do a lot of IPAs and finer stuff. What inspired you or Center Ice to do a lager, which is kind of a more, I don't know if simple is the right word for it, but a more basic beer than like an IPA, which is pretty complex?
So, two things. One, my computer's telling me my battery's low, so I'm going to talk and get my charger real quick.
Oh, okay, go
ahead. The Old Arena Lager was actually one of Steve's recipes when he was brewing out of his basement before he got the building as we know it now. And so we just like kept making it. And so like the Beauty, Old Arena, our Puck of the Irish Stout, and our Raspberry Picker are all some of his recipes that have just, those are basically the flagship seasonals, and Beauty and Old Arena are basically the flagships, and then Puck the Irish and Raspberry Picker are the seasonals. For Puck is for obviously oh my god, St. Patrick's Day.
Yes. Which is coming up.
I'm on it today. Raspberry Picker is more the springtime. So I actually just drank my last can of Raspberry Picker, so this weekend. So that was sad. You go. But we'll be making more.
Well, spring's not too far away, so you'll be you'll be making more, as you said. What's available? Like if I'm listening right now, it's like, okay, what do you have now? So if I go to centericebrewery.com, what will I find?
Right now, you'll find the Beauty or Orange IPA brewed with orange zest.
Okay.
You'll find Fast Forward IPA, which is a Belgian-inspired IPA.
Okay.
Sorry, let me try that again. Belgian-inspired IPA. Brewed with grains of paradise, Thai lemongrass, and lemon zest.
Interesting.
Old Arena Lager bottles. We still have some revolving pale ales 004, 05, and 06. 04 is a Mosaic Calypso hop combination. So it's all the even numbers of the revolving pale ale series were the same malt bill, and then we changed out the hops.
Okay.
So 04 is Mosaic and Calypso. 06 is Mosaic and Centennial.
Okay.
05 is a Belgian Pale Ale with, I forgot exactly, but it's a Belgian Pale Ale. It was one of my favorites. We have our cider, as you showed, and then...
Which I'm opening up a can of right now, by the way.
Nice.
Right. By the way, on that revolving pale ale series, and this is a question, not just for our listeners, but for kind of me as well. So I was kind of looking at those the other day, and I'm like, okay, I see, 4 is different, 5 is different, 6 is different. Could you, if I were to get, one of each, could you explain like the difference in taste between the three for someone that's really not, well versed on craft beers?
If I was doing a taste test and I had them in front of me, I could. Off the top of my head, I cannot. I'm embarrassed to say.
That's fine.
But yeah, so each of the hops. So hops and grain and just everything that goes into beer is really fun, and that's why I love brewing, because I can play around with all these different grains and make a stout or a porter or a lager or like an IPA. It doesn't matter. The hops, there are tons of different strains. There's Mosaic, Calypso, Centennial, the ones I mentioned earlier.
Sure.
So for instance, Mosaic gives off a ton of different flavor profiles, including like blueberry and other fruity notes, or like there are piney, bitter hops. There are floral hops for aroma. So like different hops have different uses. So there's one called Columbus where it's mainly used in bittering for like an IPA or a stout or anything that has a bittering hop addition to give it that kind of bite on the back end. And then there are, as I said, the floral hops, which are mainly put in the boil at the time where it's for the aroma. So when you boil, that's when you add the hops. So the sooner you add hops, the more bitter they're going to get. So basically, out of a 60-minute boil, it's counting down, which is the fun part to figure out. So at 60 minutes, the first hop addition, when you start boiling, you add your bittering hop. Typically around 20 minutes, you add a flavor hop. And then at 10-minute or flame out or whirlpool, as it's called, is the aroma hop.
Okay.
And even at the 10-minute, you're kind of getting a little bit of flavor out of it just because of how long the boil has to basically extract all the oils from the hops itself.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where the biology / the biochemistry, basically. As I said, buddy, I'm on it today.
It's all right, man. It's been a rough week. It really has.
Yeah. It's been a cold week, man. I'm tired of it.
It really does, man. It just the cold temperatures, when it gets this cold, it just kind of gets to you after a while, doesn't it?
It's annoying.
It really is. It really is. Like I said, I should not feel happy that it's 19 degrees outside, but everything's
playing
relative.
Arizona every night.
Yeah, let's not do that again, okay? Unless it's the actual playoffs.
I will say. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, even still, I do not want to see the Coyotes in the playoffs ever, because, like I said, they stuff us in the locker every time we see them. So
yeah, I will say the Blues Instagram had a great post. It was Pink in the Brain. It was,
yes.
Gee, Brain, what are we gonna do tonight? Same thing we do every night, Pinky. Play the Coyotes. I laughed so hard.
I will say Blues social media really stepped up during the Coyotes series. They were producing some real banger memes, like that one, for instance. And then there was another one that I used. I think it was for like the fourth game, where someone had like a cereal box and it said, "Oops, all Coyotes." Instead of like instead of "Oops, all marshmallows" or whatever the original cereal is. It was great. You had to laugh at this series because otherwise it was painful. It was just so painful. Thank goodness for hard cider and related alcoholic beverages, because that helped get me through. So, admittedly saying, by the way, when you were talking about the brewing process and when you put in your hops and things like that, I had two images in my mind. I had, number one, of course, you actually brewing it inside of your brewery, which is right next to your tap room, by the way. So everything's all in one building, it's a really cool aesthetic if you ever get to go to Center Ice Brewery. And then the second image I had was like of a younger you standing in front of a chemistry lab, set, and just like you were sounding almost. Am I right to say that brewing beer is almost like chemistry in a sense?
So I never had like one of those children's chemistry sets. In high school, I did like biology and I did like chemistry.
I knew it.
Yeah. So I actually went to UCM as a bioeducation major with a minor in chemistry. Didn't last. I was never one of the like AP honor students or anything like that. So my two biology, animal biology and plant biology, hit me with all this Latin. I'm like, I'm out. I'm out.
Yeah.
So, but like brewing is like, that's part of the reason brewing is right up my alley. Like, so it is, the chemistry part is, I guess it's biochemistry, because the like different grains have different compounds in them that then break down when introduced to hot water when you go to strike and mash in, because the hot water turns the starches from the grain into sugar, which then you boil to concentrate and remove the water from, so you get more concentrated sugar quality or quality count. You put that in a fermenter, add yeast, the yeast eat the sugar, produce carbon dioxide and alcohol. So that's the basic formula of brewing, and you can get into the chemistry of like how you treat your water, what's in the water and what it does to the grain and the beer itself and the flavor that it will, like, going to Canada, the craft breweries up there have a much different taste to the craft breweries in St. Louis, because St. Louis,
I've heard,
as an AB, have great water.
Yes.
So with brewing, you can get into so many like minute things, and it's so much fun.
So I have a few friends of mine that growing up, they had big dreams of becoming brewers themselves, and none of them ever did. I think one dabbles in home brewing a little bit, but nothing like on a straighter brow, level. He just, every now and then he'll just whip something up from his garage. But a lot of my friends, they always dreamed of working for Anheuser-Busch. That was like the dream growing up, because I'm in my mid 30s, so I grew up, in the 90s, before a lot of the microbreweries in St. Louis came online, like Schlafly and O'Fallon. I remember O'Fallon was, kind of like at the forefront of the microbrewery revolution. That kind of happened in the 2000s. Did you ever dream of working for AB, or did you always want to, work for a small indie?
So a lot of kids will be like, I want to be a firefighter. I want to be a brewer.
Exactly.
I didn't know what I wanted to do until like high school. I was like, I like science. And my junior and senior year, I was a student teacher in a chemistry and then a biology class. And so I just like quickly got the hang of basically teaching. And I was like, all right, cool, I'll do this. So that's how I picked my major and my minor, and sailed right off that waterfall. And I was like, okay. So I got the job at O'Fallon because they were our family friends. And over spring break, my first year in college, they put out this thing on Facebook of like, hey, we need help. And I went, and the production manager there, Brad, saw I had a lanyard for my keys that was UCM. And he goes, oh, you go to UCM? I'm like, yeah. He goes, oh, so I graduated from there. I'm like,
oh,
really? So I was there like 3 days, and apparently I did a good enough job. And he goes, "Hey, let me know when you're off school, and we'll get you on the payroll." I'm like, "Okay."
There you go.
So called him on my way home after the school year was over. I'm like, "Hey man, I'm off school." He goes, "All right, cool. You want to start Monday?" I'm like, "Sure." So
Wow.
I was there for about a year and a half, and then I started here.
That's an amazing story, because think about all those college kids that, go through the entire 4-year experience, and it takes them a year to find a job, and then here you are, coming right out of college with a job. I mean, that's the dream right there, isn't it?
Yeah, coming out of college with a job, still time to figure out exactly what I want to do, because I was
Yeah.
20 when I started. I was 19 and 20 when I started there.
Yeah.
Um, and then I turned 21 right before I left there in September, and I left in December. So yeah, I had plenty of time to figure out what I wanted to do. Figured out it was brewing, and now I get to do that, and I'm 22 years old.
Very nice, very nice. By the way, imagine, going to your high school guidance counselor and he asks you, "What do you want to do when you grow up?" And you say, "I want to be a brewer at a hockey themed bar." Can you picture the guidance counselor's face when you say that? I mean, that's just that's like it's a dream job, but it's like, could you ever imagine you were doing that? Brewing in a hockey themed bar that's actually viable.
Yeah. No, their guidance counselor would probably have the expression of the wide eyes, like, "Oh, okay." Uh,
Yeah, exactly.
just the pause of
Exactly.
like, "What do I tell this kid? Is that a thing?"
Exactly. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, like I'll admit, when Center Ice started, I remember seeing like the initial Facebook post, and I remember the website when it started out was kind of primitive. It was going into kind of like the behind the scenes of them setting up and all that. I'm like, a hockey bar in St. Louis, that's ambitious, I guess, a little bit, because hockey's unfortunately, if you're Canadian and listening to this, you think, "Oh, a hockey bar, that would go over great in Canada." In America, it does. Hockey, of course, does not have the same type of worship that it does in Canada. It's a little bit more niche compared to like baseball, especially in St. Louis, baseball and football and basketball. How does it feel being a part of I don't want to call Center Ice rags to riches story, but how does it feel being a part of a brewery that I feel kind of has defied the odds a little bit?
Yeah. So um, before they opened, before we opened, I helped paint the walls in the bathroom. I helped paint the wall I'm staring at right now that the old arena artwork was on. Um, I was working the door for opening night because I couldn't serve or anything because I was
Well, of course.
17. No, I
Wow.
was Jesus 18.
Well, that'd be
Yeah,
legal in
it
Canada,
was
but
right.
not here.
Yeah, I was right. It was right before I left for college because they opened in July of 17. So
Sure.
right before I went to college. So I was here since basically before day one, if you include painting, and like knowing Steve as long as I have, coming here was kind of a call it destiny, call it whatever. It's just fun, like
Yeah.
getting to watch this place grow, and now getting to know some of the regulars that I didn't before.
Sure. Like like
And
like how big was the cup run to helping Center Ice grow? I mean, that had to bring in a bounty of business for you.
oh yeah, so it's so weird thinking about it now in the
Yeah.
times that we're in with the limited seating in here, because I was here with one of my buddies for one of the games against San Jose where I think Tarasenko got a hat trick. He got a hat trick. I don't know if he got a hat trick, but he had a penalty shot that he made. Um, and I have a Blues goalie mask that I would wear for every playoff game
Awesome.
because I got it right before game one, the day of game one against Winnipeg in the first round, because I was like, I need something for this playoff run. I just felt I needed something. So I got the goalie mask that I wore, and I brought it here. And We're watching that, and guys are coming up to me and being like, "Hey man, fuck yeah, love it, love the helmet." And it's just like, it was like the place was packed. And Steve has video from Game 7 in Boston when we won, and like this place, it's just a sea of people. Like it's
Sure.
crazy. Beers flying everywhere. They pop champagne bottle, like
Wow.
nuts. I was not here for that, thankfully, but it was nuts.
Yeah, I'll bet. And actually, our buddy Mason, Blues Fan Reacts, actually has a question for you, and then kind of along those lines. Did you ever have a moment where you thought, "Damn, this place is something special"?
Yeah, it was the cup run, and yeah,
That was pretty much it. Yeah.
yeah.
Have you had any tie-ins or any real fun encounters with blues players at Center Ice?
Yes, we had Colton Pareko here one night to serve beer,
Really?
partnered with, I think it was the Ronald McDonald House or something like that. But yeah, he was back here serving beer, and that was right after my 21st birthday. And for my birthday, I was invited here by Steve and the two old brewers, because they were still here, obviously.
Yeah.
And they helped me write a recipe they were like, "All right, what beer do you want to make for your birthday?" I'm like, "All right, well, I want a maple IPA." And they're like, "All right, so these hops will give this, these hops will get," like, they gave me a list of hops, and like I could choose what I wanted from it and the grain and everything. So I was here to help them brew that. So when Colton Pareko was here, my beer was still on tap. And so uh, I had him serve me a beer that I helped brew. And by this point, he was already a Stanley Cup champion.
Of course.
So I had a Stanley Cup champion serve me a beer that I brew.
Awesome. That is awesome.
Yeah.
Not only that, but Colton Pareko. I remember Craig Berube saying one thing about Pareko, and that was if he can allow one of his daughters to date a St. Louis Blues hockey player, his choice would have been Pareko, because Pareko is such a nice guy. And I've been lucky enough to encounter him a couple times before the pandemic. I would go down in the locker room and get some audio for KMOX, and he would, do like the locker room scrums. Super, super nice guy, and I don't think you could have had a nicer guy that night for you.
Yeah. No, he's awesome.
Yeah, he really is. He really is. Kind of winding down here. We've been going for a little over an hour here. One of my favorite, I have a hockey meal, that I usually have, not all the time, but whenever I feel the Blues need a win, I will always break out some ravioli, like not toasted ravioli, not the St. Louis tradition, but like some real ass ravioli. And what would you say? Like if and of course Ray Ferraro, former one-time St. Louis Blue, he was famous for chicken chicken parmesan. So like what would you say to someone, like let's say someone's sitting down for a nice Italian dinner, a St. Louis Italian dinner. What beer would you recommend for them? What would pair well with that?
So,
and by the way, this is a test, this is also a test to show that you're not drinking too much of your own supply, and you're passing it. So good job.
so it really depends on the dish that they're going to order, because if it's on the spicier side, so let's just, for argument's sake, let's say they're going to get chicken parm with red sauce, or like, I don't know, chicken Alfredo or something.
Sure.
I would probably say a lager or something light, just like to help wash it down. You don't want something super dark and heavy like a stout. You don't want something hoppy like an IPA, because that's just gonna clash way too much and be just too much for the palate to enjoy the meal itself. Just a nice, crisp, clean lager, brother.
Okay. Okay, that sounds pretty good. By the way, do you have a hockey meal, a preferred hockey meal? I feel a lot of hockey fans do.
No, but
Just whatever's available.
yeah. So the meal part, I've never been like too concerned about. It's
Okay.
more on game days where it's against an opponent that I'm not favorable towards.
Okay. Yeah, I get that. I get that. Yeah.
I'll drink just St. Louis beer.
There you go.
So in like a regular season, if we're playing a Canadian team and I happen to have a 6-pack of Molson, I will drink anything other than Molson.
Smart.
God, what's another brewery that is around? There's a team with a brewery that I've had beer from. No. Anyway, yeah, if I have beer from a brewery that's near a hockey city that we're playing, I will stay the hell away from that.
That's totally fair.
Just for the night, because if I have
Yeah.
it, I like it for a reason.
exactly. But no, I totally get that. I'm a little superstitious like that too. I totally understand. Well, I guess one final thing. We talked a little bit about the beers that you have available now. What's coming down the pike for Center Ice? What can we expect in the next month or two?
Well, we have another batch of Beauty in the fermenter.
Okay.
We have our line change series right now. I'm gonna burp again.
That's fine.
Pardon me.
We're talking
So
about
our
beer,
line
so
change
it's fine.
series. Yeah, that's the byproduct.
Yes.
So the line change series is basically a 10 to 15 gallon homebrew system that we're just kind of kegging and keeping on the hockey stick taps, just to play around with different styles, different hops, like whatever we want to do. So we have right now an Imperial Stout, a lemongrass Kolsch brewed with lemongrass.
Okay.
Grass. And a lime sherbet sour. Down the pipeline on that, we have God, I just kegged it. We have a stout coming, just a real basic 5.6% stout.
Okay. You've got my interest.
Yeah, I brewed an Irish red for St. Patrick's Day.
Nice.
I brewed an American wheat. I just brewed yesterday a blueberry Hefeweizen, which I'm very excited for. We have a hazy IPA coming soon, which I know people are gonna just drain.
Yeah.
Tomorrow I'm gonna be brewing a American lager, just a classic.
Okay.
American lager, more traditional side.
Sure.
That'll be fun.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's just like we had a beer that Jim, our head brewer, has been crowing about brewing for so long, and then we finally got to do it on this line change small batch system. It was a walnut plum porter.
That's interesting.
Yeah, he's been dying to brew it, and it flew thanks to him.
a walnut plum porter.
Yeah. So
wow.
Yeah. So that was also fun to brew. And if I mention it to him, he might have us brew it again.
Oh gosh. So we should keep this our secret. Shh.
Yeah, really. But yeah, so we've just been able to play around with a bunch of really just fun stuff. So
and just for clarity, will these be available curbside or are some of these tap room only?
These are mainly tap room only.
Okay.
Okay. I don't really know what front of house sales look like for anything or what they're really doing with any of the line change stuff. I don't know if it's available in growlers or not, but
sure.
I know it's primarily taproom only.
All right, very good. Well, I guess we'll go ahead and wrap things up with you here. Anything to plug? Where can we find you on the web and social media?
Not really on social media, so not really there. You can find Center Ice is, yeah. So yeah. I think it's just Center Ice Brewery on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Yeah, come on down to center ice. Wear your masks. Let's not be silly.
Yes.
Yeah, come enjoy a pint. If Jim and I aren't super busy in any given day of the week, come chat. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, you guys have been really friendly every time I've come up and picked up beer, and always been willing to chat, and just it's I've been kind of leery of COVID, so I haven't been to center ice really since the pandemic started, like inside. But I'm looking forward to when things get cleared up and being back and enjoying some games at center ice, because it really is a cool atmosphere for hockey, and for one, you're always right by history because of all the old arena, wood fixtures that are inside the tap room. But I implore people that are in St. Louis, and I should stress that, because you don't ship outside of St. Louis.
No,
so
because it gets real weird with the government gets real weird with shipping alcohol.
Yeah,
or shipping beer, really.
Yeah. By the way, our one final thought from Mason. His blues meal is Del Taco nachos, which we don't have Del Taco here in St. Louis, but having lived in places that have a Del Taco, let me just say, beer and Del Taco Mexican food is name a more iconic duo. You can't. That is like, if there is ever food that is meant for beer, it's Del Taco. So good. It's a good combo. Alrighty, Jack. Well, thanks so much for being on, and we look forward to following up in the future, and hopefully everything stays copacetic for you guys as the pandemic winds down here in the next few months.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, buddy.
Alrighty, sounds good. By the way, hang around for a little bit. I want to chat with you a little bit afterwards, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Alrighty, sounds good. All right, Jack Ferrara, assistant brewer at Center Ice Brewery. Again, check them out, centericebrewery.com. They're actually on Twitter at Center Ice Brew, but you can, if you search for them, they'll pop right up. Great local business. I implore you guys to check them out, and they got a really neat thing going on there. And by the way, Blues and Sharks starting, if you're listening to this on Thursday tonight, looking forward to some new competition. We'll be back to recap the games late Sunday, probably 9:00 Central Time, with myself, Wags, and Blues Fan Reacts. And he's already planning his next trip to Center Ice Brewery. By the way, next time I visit, I'll stop by. So there we go. We sold one person on it. And that's going to do it for this episode of Blue Notes. I want to thank you for listening and watching, because without you, there is no me, there is no Wags, and there is no Blues Fan Reacts. And of course, there is no Hockey Podcast Network. I'm Tom Franklin, reminding you to not be a chump and always play to the whistle.
A reminder that you can follow Blue Notes on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Blue Notes Pod. I'm the voice of the Blues, Tom Calhoun. Jeremy Boyer, play us out.
You're listening to the Hockey Podcast Network, your home for hockey talk covering every team in the NHL. New episodes every Monday. Download at thehockeypodcastnetwork.com or wherever you get your podcasts from.